Hey, what is up, guys, and welcome back to Football Discussions. And today, we're going to be going over some draft analysis that kind of broke the internet today. It was Chris Sims' 2021 quarterback rankings. They're very interesting, and we're going to kind of break them down. You can get a little sneak peek right here. But the first thing I want to preface this by is that Chris Sims has actually been very, very accurate in the past when analyzing quarterbacks. So I saw this Circle of Wagons, at Wagon Circle, shout out him, posted this, which was his 2018 ratings. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this. He had Lamar as number 1, Josh Allen as number 2, Baker Mayfield as number 3, Sam Darnold as number 4, and Josh Rosen as number 5. I think that's pretty damn spot on. One being an MVP. So I know you could argue that. I know a lot of people would argue that Josh Allen's better than Lamar Jackson, but Lamar does have that MVP. Josh Allen, obviously, fantastic quarterback. Baker really came into his own in Stefanski's offense. Sam Darnold was a disappointment in the first 3 or 4. Is he already in his 4th season? I think 3rd season. Geez, time flies, but obviously that might be an Adam Gase effect. But so far, this has been a very, very accurate ranking. I don't know if anyone put his 2019 ratings. I know he had Daniel Jones. Yeah, this guy's saying he's usually spot on except for with Daniel Jones. He has right on Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Herbert. He had Herbert at number 2 and Tua at number 4. Jordan Love at number 3 last year. I think he had in 2019 his top 3 were Kyler, Drew, Locke, and then Dwayne Haskins, and then at like 6 was Daniel Jones. So he's low on Daniel Jones, who I think has been the second best quarterback out of the class. But regardless, he's been very good at predicting quarterbacks. This, however, I think is his most questionable list yet. Now, he could be very right because of his track record in the past, but it concerns me that this is just so weird and no one else is on board with it. So let's just go over it. Starting off with Zack Wilson over Trevor Lawrence. That's your first wow factor. The first, wow, really no one's done this and no one's really going to ever do it in the draft community. Any guy that respects his name in the draft community won't put Trevor Lawrence below Zack Wilson. Everyone knows that Trevor Lawrence is the number 1 pick in the draft. He's the highest rated quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck. Everyone is high on him. Everyone thinks he's the number 1 player in the class. So putting Zack Wilson over him already is a wow factor. But this one I don't completely disagree with, right? Because you want to look at the quarterbacks that Chris Sims likes. You look at Dak Prescott. You look at Josh Allen. He's in love with Josh Allen. He's in love with Aaron Rodgers. He loves Patrick Mahomes. These are all quarterbacks that can move in the pocket, create plays, throw off platform, throw at weird arm angles, have great arms, great downfield vision. Zack Wilson possesses all of those, and he's the most similar quarterback in this class to a Patrick Mahomes or to a Josh Allen or to an Aaron Rodgers, right? Not saying that he'll ever have a comparable career to them. He very well might, but that's, top tier level quarterback play, and he hasn't even snapped a football in the NFL yet. But when you talk about a player that's most similar to those quarterbacks in this class, it is Zack Wilson. So you talk about those quarterbacks like Chris Sims sees in the NFL doing so well. That's why he is so high in Zack Wilson. Also, you can look at the fact that Zack Wilson has had significant development over his years at college football. He threw more interceptions than touchdowns, I think, his sophomore season, and then came out of nowhere, threw 40 touchdowns this year. Has just developed each and every year he's played, or maybe that was his freshman season that he did so poorly. But regardless, Zack Wilson has developed, came out this year, absolutely balled out, rose up draft boards. So I understand why Chris Sims is so high on him based on how he's rated quarterbacks in the past. Now we move down to number 3. This one's very interesting. Mac Jones ahead of Justin Fields, ahead of Trey Lance. This is another one that I could give him the benefit of the doubt on, although it doesn't coincide with what I just said about what he likes in quarterbacks. When you look at today's quarterbacks, you want a guy that can move outside the pocket, and you want a guy that has a strong arm. Justin Fields, Trey Lance, both fit that prototype beautifully. Now, I'll get into why people are so low on Justin Fields a little later on in this video, but Mac Jones, comparatively to a guy like Zack Wilson, comparatively to a guy like Justin Fields, comparatively to a guy like Trey Lance, and even comparatively to Trevor Lawrence, does not fit in that category. He can't move outside the pocket. He doesn't have a rocket arm. He is deadly accurate, and he has a really good understanding of the game of football, has a high IQ. I think in a perfect scheme, like the Patriots, he can excel in, right? Because that's a run-first offense that allows him to understand the flow of the game, make quick reads, throw the football intermediate routes to short routes, and really just have the offense offense moving at all times. I think that's a perfect offense for Mac Jones to land in. Is he a more exciting prospect, and does he fit the bill of the guys that I just mentioned, and Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, you could even throw in there, Aaron Rodgers, the guys that can extend plays, move outside the pocket, even Baker Mayfield, a quarterback that you could put in your top 10, Ryan Tannehill, a quarterback that you can put in your top 10. All these guys have mobility nowadays. Mac Jones does not possess it. The only guy that's still doing it without mobility at this point in time is the GOAT, Tom Brady. So unless Mac Jones is Tom Brady, I don't see why you put him ahead of Justin Fields and Trey Lance when they do have that rocket arm and they do have that mobility. Now we go down to number 4. This is the one that I think he will be dead wrong on, just like he was wrong about Daniel Jones. Don't get me wrong, Daniel Jones is by no means a great quarterback, but he was definitely better than Dwayne Haskins, definitely better than Drew Lock. Kellen Monde at 4 is something that I think is abysmal. I'll start with what Kellen Monde does well. Kellen Monde has a very underrated pocket presence. When the pocket breaks down, he's able to step up, make throws. He's also really good with his feet outside the pocket, can create passing or can turn passing plays into running plays with his legs. He's a good quarterback. But when you watch the tape and when you watch the Senior Bowl, he is not a good passer. I mean, he just isn't. And I mean, comparatively, obviously he's a D1 quarterback, had to get somewhere with his passing, and obviously has had success throwing the football. But comparatively to these other 5 guys on this list, he is by far and away the worst passer. Doesn't have the strongest arm. I think his arm might be comparable to Mac Jones. Obviously, he has more athleticism than Mac Jones, but he might be less athletic than Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence, and Zack Wilson, are just as athletic as them. And then the throwing capability is just so much worse than all of the other 5 guys. So to me, Kellen Monde does not belong even in the same category as these the other 5 guys. I think these guys are all first-round picks. I think the next quarterback won't be picked till the 4th round, personally. Even Kyle Trask might be picked in the 3rd, maybe 2nd. But Kellen Monde at 4, I think, is a very bold take, something that I strongly disagree with. And the only reason why I see Sims doing this is because he sees a little Dak Prescott in Kellen Monde, and he's a huge fan of Dak Prescott, and I think he was a huge fan of Dak Prescott out of that draft. So unless he sees some things that are similar, which I think that Dak Prescott is a far superior passer than Kellen Monde. Obviously, both played in SEC offenses, both like similar type of college players. But again, I think Dak Prescott's growth in the league, just proved that he is such a good passer. So Kellen Monde, to me, that's the only reason why he would be in the top 4 is for that Dak Prescott comparison. Obviously, Jimbo Fisher, great coach, gets the best out of quarterbacks. I think Kellen Monde's a lot worse than the number 4 quarterback in this class. Now we drop down to number 5, and let's talk about Justin Fields for a minute, because people have, since this whole offseason started, people started really going deep dive on the quarterbacks. People have had Justin Fields falling. People put Zack Wilson above him, which personally I have. I think Zack Wilson's the 2nd best player in the class, right behind Trevor Lawrence. I'm very high on Zack as well. But people have Trey Lance above him. People even have Mac Jones above him sometimes, right? So why is Justin Fields falling when he was one of the most electric quarterbacks in college football this year? Let's look into it. Justin Fields plays in an offense at Ohio State where it might be the most simplified offense in college football. That's the first knock. It's not that there hasn't ever been a good Ohio State quarterback. I think that's a BS reason not to draft one. But when you look at the system he plays in, he's a one-read quarterback, and it shows up on film versus teams like Indiana and Northwestern and even Clemson, where he played a very good game. He hung in the pocket, got absolutely drilled on that targeting play, but came back, sucked it up and played. He's a warrior. He's got a great spirit. I think he's a great leader. But he still missed easy throws in that game due to the fact that his first read wasn't open, and the pocket either broke down and he had to scramble, he got sacked, or he threw it away, or threw a contested pass when there's other guys open. It most notably shows up on Northwestern and Indiana's tape. When the pocket breaks down and that first read isn't there, what does Justin Fields do? He panics and he either takes a sack or forces a ball when there are other guys open. So that's the knock on Ohio State quarterbacks. It's the fact that that offense is so simplified, and when you go to the NFL, you cannot rely on your first read. You see it with Tua Tagovailoa this year. When that guy wasn't as wide open as Alabama receivers were, guys like Jared Jeudy, Devontae Smith, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle that he was used to throwing to in the NFL, he struggled. He threw 90 yards twice in 2 NFL games this year, right? So I think that's the question mark around Justin Fields. Can he develop into a good passer? Personally, I think yes, he has the arm talent and he has the athleticism and he has the accuracy, right? He just needs to be able to learn under a great coaching staff. Hence why I think Carolina, I've said this in my mocks before, Carolina is the perfect landing spot for Justin Fields. If he goes to Carolina with a great coach like Joe Brady, who got Joe Burrow to have the best college football season ever and got that Panthers offense clicking a little last year, I think he'll have great success. Not to mention I'm a huge fan of Matt Rule as well, right? So Justin Fields in the right offense, I think, can be very good. I think he's for me, I haven't even released my quarterback rankings yet. I think that he is the fourth best quarterback. I think him and Trey Lance are neck and neck, though, and then Zack Wilson and Trevor Lawrence are a whole tier above. However, I don't think Justin Fields should be getting the amount of hate he is. If he goes to a good coaching staff, I think that he will be a very good quarterback. So having him below Kellen Monde is an insult beyond all belief. Having him below Mac Jones, you could even consider an insult. But having him lower than Zack Wilson, I think is more than fair, and it's just that red flag of, the offense that he's plays in. So if you had any questions on why Justin Fields is falling so much on a lot of people's boards, that would be why. Now, Trey Lance at 6 is also disgraceful to have him below Kellen Monde. If you wanted to have Mac Jones and wanted to have Justin Fields over him, I would understand that. To me, Trey Lance is the biggest question mark in this draft right now for a player that could be picked in the top 10. Trey Lance, half gives me he's the next Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton hybrid, and he's going to be so good in the NFL. And then the other half of me thinks he's got a little Carson Wentz and Mitch Trubisky in him. He only started for 13 college football games. He doesn't have that experience. He needs some growth. So there are a lot of question marks around Trey Lance. So if you are wondering why Trey Lance is so high on some people's boards and why he's so low on people's boards, I think those are the two sides of it, because he has such a good arm and he is the most athletic quarterback in this class, even more athletic than Justin Fields. So that's why people are so high on him. But people are also low on him because of the lack of starting experience, because of the lack of competition. So that's why I think Chris is probably low on Trey Lance. But overall, this is just a wild list. This was half me reacting to this list and then half me analyzing for you guys why I think that players are high on some people's boards, players are low on some people's boards. Obviously, again, Chris takes into account the guys that he sees in the NFL and tries to make those comps to the college player you watch. I think that's why, in large part, he's so successful in analyzing quarterbacks. I think that's why he's got that he was so high on a guy like Justin Herbert last year, high on a guy like Jordan Love last year, higher on those two more so than Tua Tagovailoa, because they have that unique ability to run outside the pocket, throw off platform, the same things that he loves to see in Josh Allen, the same things that he loves to see in Patrick Mahomes, same thing he loves to see in Aaron Rodgers. These are the type of quarterbacks that the league is looking for, and these are the type of quarterbacks that Chris Sims is grading very high. So that's why that his list is the way that it is. Having Mac Jones high then kind of contradicts that, and then having Kellen Mond kind of overdicts that. That's not a word, I just wanted to say it. But all in all, I think this is probably the most wild list of the draft season so far. I am back, took a week off. I will be posting a lot more draft content, some mock drafts coming your way, maybe do a Madden mock draft, see how Madden thinks the draft is going to go. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope I answered any questions you have about the quarterback big board right now, and expect a lot more content coming your way. Take it easy, guys. Peace.